Oh, Misan's joining. Been a while since I've seen his face. Misan,
Hey guys,
bonjour.
Yo,
sure. How are you? Salam.
I'm good, very well. Good to see you, bro.
See you, man. Hi, MM. Hi, Kelly.
hey Masam, how are you?
Good morning.
Good.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
afternoon. Evening. Yeah. I'm holding up I'm holding up the United States sides as a whatever.
He supports our Western Front.
Yeah. That's pretty sad. Oh man.
How are you guys?
MM, how's everything been?
Good.
Aaron, I've been
Been
asking
killing it.
Khalid to join the class. Every time he says I will, and then he doesn't show up.
Khalid he's a busy man.
Yeah.
he's a busy man. No, he's a
Yeah.
good. But look, I think the people really need to start finding time. I don't know why more people aren't in this current position that we're in. There's enough shit going on. Like for months we've been saying recession, and only now they're saying recession. I think now we're saying depression. Wait another 6 months, 7 months.
Before we start, do you guys think we'll see some relief rally?
There'll be multiple relief rallies. Like we've just had a
Yeah.
relief rally, and I think I'm very contradicted mentally on this point, but the fundamentals and the technicals is very hard to sort of dictate what is going to cause it. Obviously, from a technical standpoint, we'll probably form some price gaps that need to be filled, but then a fundamental would probably be that sort of stimulus that would take us up to as a relief or a bear market rally. But
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit hard to predict at the moment because some of the fundamentals that come out, they're coming out like way under expectation or way above expectations. Even last week, the statistics that we had for a few things it was contradicting. Yeah, and yeah, with technicals, it makes sense that those reliefs will come just to pick up that price gaps to fill in those price gaps. But I think it's like if you really are in sync with the market and the fundamentals, it's kind of at the moment I actually think it's quite easy. I mean, if you just look at a track record for the past 6-7 weeks, we've been killing it. And I think if you're in sync with the market at the moment, you can make a lot of money. I think it isn't really as difficult as it seems. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, I completely agree with you. Like, it's a bear market where money's made, and it's only because of like what I was saying before, where you've got all of that sort of institutional longer term capital sort of withdrawn from the market. So it's just traders, and they're all using the same sort of TA, and then it's just a psychological game.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, again, the history has shown that September has always been red, which we did see, and then now on 21st CPI coming in, so probably it's going to be more. And it can be because of the midterm elections coming up, so they're just trying to save the market.
No, there are a few things for it. It's because September is the third quarter ending, right? So during third quarter, there are a lot of institutions taking profits and such, and then we have FOMC meetings every September. And especially this year, the FOMC meeting is even like a lot of people are keeping an eye on just because of the recession thing. So we're seeing even more volume. Even historically, for me, September's are usually my biggest months. It's just simply because there's a lot of volume into the market. Plus, if you compare it with the summer months, there's a lot of volume because people are coming back from their summer vacations, and a lot of institutions are back on. So there's a lot of volume in the market during September. Yep. So I don't think it's ended. There's a lot of volume that's going to come in this coming week. Let's begin the fundamentals. Let's see. Do you disable my screen sharing?
Let me allow you. Yeah, that's it's going to be interesting. Obviously, last week we had a lot of sort of major fundamentals, both on sort of normal equities and forex side, as well as the crypto. So let's see where this is playing out. Obviously, all of our TA from last week's weekly technicals played out, other than what's consolidating?
Ethereum has been ranging. That's about it. And I think in the every single one, you would have, if the especially the trades this week, there was a big amount of pip movement. That means you could have made a lot of money if you just followed the technicals this previous week.
Look, that's what it's about. Just follow the technical.
Yep. And the coming week, I think we're gonna have some crazy moves as well. All right, so from the last week, just let's go over the last week before we get into the next week. The last week we had, the first thing was the British pound, and we saw a little bit of a slowdown here, but it's actually picked up if you compare this with the previous month. Therefore, British pound was extremely strong at the start of the week, actually. This is why this longs we called out in the previous weekly technicals paid out perfectly. So this was a good statistic, and even the other statistics here, even if you see that the manufacturing production, it came in higher from the previous month, though it's a little bit lower than the forecasted, but this is still viewed as a positive thing for British pound. So this is how the week started with British pound strength. And then on Tuesday, we had the big CPI thing come out. I think everyone in our traders group were keeping an eye out on this. Also, one more thing I want to point out before I go into that is a PPI for JPY, and that came in the same as the last month, so not much of movement happened, yeah, with JPY. But when CPI came out, it was insane, a lot of volume, and it's simply because we had 0.1% which came out as a result, which is much higher than previous and the forecasted one. But a lot of people were mistaken because it wasn't the CPI which actually had that amount of bearish volume. It was actually the core CPI. The core CPI is excluding food and energy, right? So the Federal Reserve actually keeps a bigger eye on core CPI because they might have a bigger influence on that. And if you look at the number that came out was 0.6%, which is way higher than the previous one and the forecasted one. Yeah. So this gave us insane volume. I think I saw gold drop 200 pips in 2 seconds. 2 seconds, not even 2 minutes. And I think that was in everything, in other instruments as Bitcoin, British pound, US dollar, even JPY. We saw a lot of volume coming, even in the indices, if you like to trade that. So what this actually suggests to the Federal Reserve is that the economy can still bear higher interest rate hikes. So because of that, we saw a lot of bearish volume. Therefore, this coming week, we have FOMC, which I'll get into in a minute. The next day, we have British pound CPI, which came in a little bit weaker. That means maybe their interest hikes are working. Yeah, so this came in, and but it wasn't much of a bigger difference, 0.2%, but there was a little bit of weakness with British pound around this time last week. And also, I think around this time, JPY, there was a news that came out that rumors were that Bank of Japan will at last maybe intervene and do something with their currency because they're the only central bank who have not hiked rates or done anything at all. So JPY is at a 22 years low. So it's extremely weak. I'll get into the charts for that in a minute, but extremely weak. So what happened during that time is when the news came out, people started, the JPY currency started picking up strength. So we saw a lot of JPY strength come in. And if you were trading GJ at that moment in time, there was a lot of JPY strength, yeah. PPI came out, which is the Producer Price Index. This came out as the forecasted, but a little bit stronger than the previous month. Again, suggesting to the Federal Reserve that, okay, maybe the economy can handle the rate hikes. Same thing with core CPI, yeah, came in much higher. And then we had the retail sales come out last week. A lot of fundamentals last week. I mean, it's just a lot of fundamentals. So retail sales came out weaker, yeah. This was of conflicting data here because this showed a lot of people are spending less. Maybe the hiking rates are not are taking an effect on retail sales because people are now spending a little bit less. So this was a conflicting data from the last week. And another thing which was conflicting to me was so you see how the core retail sales dropped, but you see the retail sales is picked up here. Core retail sales is, I think, it's excluding automotive sales, because automotive sales is is a very volatile market, right? So in core retail sales, they don't include it. Therefore, the Federal Reserve might be taking a good look at this. This is why on the retail sales side, you see how it picked up strength. So it's a little bit conflicting because in retail sales, it shows that the automotive sales picked up last week. Yeah. So a little bit of conflicting data here. And another conflicting thing is the Empire State Manufacturing Index, which is the New York State Manufacturing Index, came in stronger, much stronger actually, if you look at the numbers. But if you look at the Philadelphia Manufacturing Index, it came in weaker. So conflicting. Yeah. Unemployment claims shows it came in much lower. Yeah, still shows a strong economy, which is supportive to the high rate hikes that Federal Reserve might do. So that's what came out this previous week. We have University of Michigan consumer sentiment, not big of a difference here. British pound retail sales also came out. It came out way weaker as well. If you look at the forecast and here, so this again introduced British pound weakness last week. So if you're trading GJ last week, we saw JPY strength come in a lot during the last few days of the week. Yeah, that was from the previous week. The coming week though is going to be even more interesting probably. Yeah. So Monday we have a British pound and Japanese yen bank holiday. So if you're trading GJ, I would suggest to take no trades at all on Monday. There might be some moves happening, but I think just with both the central banks being off during that day, it might be best to take off. Yeah, no trades on Monday on GJ. Gold perhaps possible. Yeah, you can keep an eye out on, but this is just try to avoid GJ. Yeah, and then on Tuesday, not much of fundamentals. Small yellow folders which shows lower impact. Yeah. So not much of fundamentals, but you can trade any pair that you like. I don't think there's much holding back. But I think on Tuesday, there's a possibility that before FOMC news that comes out on Wednesday, before that, we might see market kind of range or consolidate. That's a possibility. Or if the market is very confident with the rate hikes, we might end up seeing those moves pricing in even before the news comes out. Yeah. So keep an eye out on that. So we have on Wednesday, we have the big FOMC thing coming out. It's projected that we might be seeing 75 basis point rate hike. There's also a little bit of pricing in that we might have 100 basis point rate hike. So we are going to be seeing aggressive rate hikes. So I think continuing into this week, we might see all these risk assets such as crypto, even gold or these kind of assets start bleeding. Yeah, even the stock market. So big one, keep an eye out on this. And the following day on Thursday, September 22nd, again, we have big news. JPY, Bank of Japan statement. So this is going to be very big. I want to see if the Bank of Japan actually intervenes and does something with their currency. I think if this happens, we're going to see big moves with JPY. And again, on the same day itself, we have another news coming out with British pound monetary policy as well. So big day here. I would be a little bit careful if you're taking trades on GJ on Thursday. Yeah. So Thursdays will be very volatile for GJ, and be a little bit careful with that. And I think we have also unemployment claims for the next week, projected to come in higher from the previous week. So this might be showing that the economy is slowing down and the Federal Reserve's rate hike is working. Yeah, because the economy has to slow down for the hike rates to work. Yeah, so that's this is a big one. These 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, and then Friday again, a lot of news. We have JPY bank holiday, so might see GJ. If you're trading GJ, might make sense to maybe not take trades on JPY. But there might be a lot of volume just because we have British pound PMI purchasing manager. The purchasing managers, they make they have the statistic where they show you like the like I'll give you a proper example here. So they survey about 650 purchasing managers during this time, and according to that, they check the employment, the production, the new orders, prices. So this kind of gauges the economy as well, like what are the purchasing managers reporting. So this is a big one to keep an eye out on. I don't trade euro But if you're trading euro, you can keep an eye out on that as well. We're getting French, Germany PMIs also coming out, even US dollar PMI coming out on Friday. So just by looking at this week, I think we are going to see a lot of volume come in from maybe from Tuesday or Wednesday. And throughout the whole week, I think we're going to see big moves happening. And even we have the big one. We have Powell speaking as well on Friday, right before market close, few hours before market close. We're going to see that. So keep an eye out on all this news this week and be a little bit careful when taking trades. Pick up the high probability trades because you can get easily wrecked with the volume. Yeah. Any questions regarding fundamentals before we move into technicals? Yeah, all clear?
All good.
All good. All right. Let's go into now into the technicals. Let me delete these. We had some crazy good moves last week. Let's see if we can get some this week as well. All right, so let's begin with Bitcoin. All right, BTC, we are 2 weeks into this month, right? So just by looking at the current forming monthly candle, we see sellers reject, yeah. We see buyers exhaustion. That means what? It means sellers are in control of the market at the moment, yeah. Which does play out in favor of our fundamentals as well. So this makes sense. So we are also bearish with the structure as well. So on the monthly, we are bearish with BTC. On the weekly as well, we are bearish, yeah. But if you look at the current weekly candle, at the moment it's stuck inside this range here, so it's ranging inside this area about at the moment, yeah. So the weekly candle still hasn't closed. We have 12 hours, more than 12 hours left for the candle to close. So I will keep an eye out to see if at least the body of this candle closes under the body of this one. It should be a medium probability engulfing, not a high probability. High probability would be if it engulfed all the way down here, yeah. So we are still looking nicely clear bearish pattern, yeah. If you just look at the overall structure, you see how we had a small pullback here with that drop which happened to grab some liquidity, and again we dropped, yeah. So nice bearish pattern there, yeah. On daily is also as clean, yeah. We see this massive bearish engulfing candle there. That was the CPI report when it came out, and at the moment a little bit contradicting here. If you actually look at the structure here, you see how we made a bearish structure but kind of made a lower high here, sorry, a higher low here, kind of contradicting there. But I would wait to take no trades here because I would like to maybe see the structure point here break right there, the structure point. Okay, so for the coming week, I think I think we're bearish on all time frames, right? So, and even with the fundamentals which is coming out, makes sense for us to take shots. So I would say maybe this week see this area here break, which would be around the August low and the weekly low break here, which is the previous week low, not the current week's low, yeah. So keep that in mind. And the daily structure point here break. So I think the short positions would be at 19,500. If 19,500 can give us good confluences to take a short position, that would be position one. And I think that would be a medium probability short position. The higher probability would to see this structure area here break at 18,750, yeah, quarter point as well. So maybe you can perhaps maybe add a position there and then add the second half of the position here if this area here breaks, yeah. But there's a possibility of a retracement as well. That could look like something like this. It could be like instead, this is scenario one. Scenario two would be maybe see price come up all the way over here where the break occurred, right? At 21,800. See that happen here, and then maybe then take a break retest short position from there, yeah. So that's the scenarios I'm looking at with BTC. Scenario one, 19,500 break, or scenario two, 18,750 break, or a retest of 21,800 and then take a short position from there. But if you want to take a counter trend positions, which just by looking at structure, it doesn't make any sense. But if you do take lower probability short positions, it would make sense to wait for structure to break here at the top, this area there. which is around 22,500. So if 22,500 here breaks, then perhaps you can go ahead and take long positions from there. Yeah. But at the moment, I think just taking short positions make a lot of sense. Let me look down in the 4-hour time frame as well. Yeah, so at the 4-hour time frame as well, I think we are kind of consolidating in the small area here. I want to see if this area here breaks this structure point. Yeah, I think then we might see a lot of volume kick in. Yeah. So that's with BTC. Any questions regarding BTC? All clear? Actually, let me mark this out. Let me mark out the price point. This would make it easier for us to reference this. Yeah, that's 21,800. That's 19,500. Okay, and I think we can take this position as well, 18,750. 18,750, and the last one would be the lower probability short position, sorry, long position, which is at 22,500. Yeah, all clear, everyone? All right, let me move into Ethereum then.
Got it.
Ethereum though, see how we have marked out the last week and we didn't see that range there break. Therefore, you would have not lost any money or made any money. You see how it tapped there, but it didn't break through. So let me break this down from the top. All right, so monthly candle. Monthly candle isn't telling me much, but it does show an exhaustion towards the top. Buyers are exhausted and sellers are still in control of the market. So that's the only indication I'm getting with that. And you see how the structure is bearish. Yeah, even the previous one kind of rejected towards the top. And if you see just by looking at the supply demand level, how it's been rejecting that area again and again and again, that's bearish confluence, right? So monthly is bearish. Weekly, nice clear structure. We see how structure was made there. And at the moment, it's resisting this area there. Yeah. So nice bearish structure with the weekly as well. One thing I did not like from, I think it was in the previous week also I mentioned how this made a lower high point, higher low point, but this also made a higher high. But now if you look at the structure point here, you see how this has made a lower high, but at the moment it's not breaking the last higher low. So I would like this area here to break, yeah? So that's what I'm looking at in the weekly. And the weekly, if you look at the weekly candle as well, it's engulfing the previous week, which is a nice confluence for us to take short positions for as well, yeah? So on the daily, we see, let's see, on the daily, nice clear bearish structure, yeah? We had the Ethereum merge that happened. And I think a lot of people were actually thinking about longing Ethereum. But I think the classic case of buy the news, sell the rumor happened. Sorry, buy the rumor, sell the news happened. And we saw that massive drop. This massive drop happened during the Ethereum merge, yeah? So nice clear bearish structure with Ethereum. And I think this is nice. I think the short position might occur a little quick this week, yeah? So this area here that I pointed out also on the weekly, if you look at the weekly there, you see how that's the last higher low point, and also on the daily, that's the last structure point as well there. I think taking high probability short positions might occur here, yeah, which is at 14,000, let's call it 14, under 14K, 14,000, let's call it 14,015, yeah, 1415.
The 1300 to the sort of 1100 range is like a big demand zone for ETH.
1300 and 1200, you said?
1100.
1100. Let me look. 1100 and 1400. Yeah, yeah.
So I reckon we'll probably revisit that area.
Yeah, I think so. Just by looking at the momentum as well over here, you see that momentum there. I think we might see it drop at least towards these areas here. Yeah, possible. So That's what I'm looking at with the daily. That's one position that makes a lot of sense this week. A little bit clearer picture than last week. Yeah. But if Ethereum does double bottom here, yeah, and we see it again start breaking up all the points above, I think this would make only much sense if I actually take a safer position over here. If you're going to take a long position, it would make sense to see this area here break, not this area. This area here, I don't think it's as safe because you see how there's a price gap there. I think price can do, this would be scenario 2, yeah? That price can do something like this, come over here, give us a retest of 1700 and then drop. So that could be scenario 2, yeah? This is why I wouldn't take a position here if this structure point breaks, because we have a nice price gap there, which happened during CPI. So 1700 is a big one. So two scenarios with short position. Long position would only be if this top area here breaks, yeah, which would be at 1780. Let's call it 1780, yeah. So 1780 is the lower probability long position, and the higher probabilities are these short positions here on Ethereum, yeah. And I think if this area here breaks, you can keep an eye out. This might happen even today or tomorrow, and maybe you can take a short position here on Ethereum. And I think if this area here breaks, just by looking at the previous history, you look towards the left, you see how we had this big candle, stayed momentum for days. I think this momentum might be repeated again, because if every time you see how this area here repeats itself, even towards the left, you see how there's always momentum in this area. I think if this area here breaks, I think we see it topple all the way down, even all the way down to like Aaron said, 1100. That might be an actually good TP point, yeah. So that's what I would be looking at with Ethereum. Any questions regarding Ethereum? All clear? Yep. All right. So Ethereum is good. We will move into Ethereum BTC. Ethereum BTC played out really well as well. I mean, if you look at it, I think if you just waited, the last short position would have occurred today, I think. Even yesterday, actually, you would have made money in that as well. But we had a position here that you could have taken. You see how price broke through. Nice big bearish candles, I think. Yeah, so nice clear positions we had on ETH BTC. I don't trade this pair because I don't trade crypto as much. I just trade BTC. Yeah, but I will break this down 1 second. All right, so with ETH BTC, just by looking at let's go down to the monthly. And if you see how monthly is at the moment, it's kind of in a way double top there. Yeah, see how it's kind of double top there. So and plus not only double topped, it kind of has a lot of buyers exhaustions toward the top. Yeah, that means sellers are in control. Sellers have been in control, and at the moment, if you see the candle, it's at the monthly structure as well. Yeah, actually, let me highlight that area. I think this would be an important area there. Yeah, so it's looking interesting on the monthly, but just by looking at structure here, there's a possibility this might be inverse head and shoulder as well, I think. Sorry. You see how that's kind of making an inverse head and shoulder there. So the important point would be the structure point. If the structure point breaks through here all the way down, I think this would not be inverse head and shoulder. What I want to see here on the monthly is this area to pick up there. Reject this area there and pick up. So this would be a confirmed inverted head and shoulder, which is a bullish pattern. Yeah. So I am bullish technically with Ethereum, but just by looking at this candle, I don't like that candle. I want to see more confluences to maybe take a long position from. With this pair, I mean, ETH BTC. Weekly chart, we had a massive bearish engulfing on with BTC, which shows BTC strength. Yeah, but at the moment, it's rejecting that monthly structure area there. Yeah. So what I want to see this week is, just by looking at the monthly, it's a little bit of indecision going on, and plus there's a lot of confluences both ways, which causes an indecision in the market. Confluence, the bearish people who want to short this would be thinking, okay, I see nice double tops, I now see exhaustion, And the people who want to long this position will be like, oh, I see nice inverted head and shoulder pattern going on, and the structure is bullish. So this might cause a little bit indecision here with this pair, possible, yeah. So I think best course of action is to maybe look at this area here, 0.773, let's call it 0.72250, yeah. So this area here would be important. Maybe keep an eye out on this, see how this area holds up for this week and the coming week. On the daily though, daily is giving us nice bearish trend, yeah. So the monthly is giving us some confluence, weekly is giving us nice clear confluence, and the weekly and the daily is giving me even more clear confluence that this is a nice pair to take shots from, yeah. But just with multi-time frame correlation, at the moment I would like to see this area here break. If this area here breaks, I think taking short positions makes sense, yeah. So scenario one for this pair would be, I would actually want to see, I think this see these lows here break actually would be at 0.71500. So this area I want to see break, and then I think you can take short positions from there, but keep an eye out on that inverted head and shoulders, so risk accordingly, yeah. So that would be one. Then we could have something of a retest, yeah. So price could do something like reject that area, and if it does pull up there, this would be another position, a risky position, I would say, because if this pulls up from here, this kind of confirms that inverted head and shoulder movement, yeah. But if you want to take a risky position, this would make sense, a retest of this area there, 0.077, yeah. So there. So 0.077 would be another interesting area for a break and retest, but very risky. So keep and be a little bit careful with that. But if these areas here break through all the way, I think that inverted head and shoulder pattern would be confirmed, yeah. And if that happens, I think the long position would occur maybe somewhere up here at that structure break there, yeah. So maybe you could wait for that to break, and even wait for this area to break here. And I think the position would occur somewhere here, yeah, 0.082. So this is what I'm looking with ETH BTC for this week. A little bit risky, a little bit, you have to be a little bit careful with this pair for this week, yeah. And it kind of makes sense with the indecision that I'm calling out on, is because if Federal Reserve does hike the rate, and the risk assets bleed, these are both paired with risk assets, right? Both are risky assets. So there might be indecision this week, possible, yeah. But this is what I'm looking with ETH BTC. Any questions before we move into Forex and commodities? Yeah, clear? All right. So that's with ETH BTC for this week. All right, let's go to GU for this week. GU was crazy this week. I mean, we had, just by looking at the monthly structure, you see how it broke the all-time lows, at least according to my chart. I don't have the 1980s and 1960s here. I think this is the it broke even the 1960s or 1980s low. I'm not sure with that, but just looking at my chart, it's broken the pandemic lows. You see how the wick over there broke the pandemic lows, March 2020. And we, for a moment, we went into price discovery, yeah. So let me delete this from previous week. All right. Let me move the weekly highs and lows of this pair as well. And also let me move the daily highs and lows. Where is the daily highs? Oh, I didn't mark out the daily highs and lows with this pair, I think. Let me mark it out, actually. And then we have another one there. The daily highs and lows are kind of, the low is kind of correlating with the low of weekly low as well, yeah. So, all right, so let me begin with the monthly with this pair. monthly is clearly bearish. I mean, there's like no mistaking this. Yeah, just looking at the straight momentum we had from months on end actually, and even the previous month, we see how it had a massive bearish engulfing, and pretty much no wicks, almost no wicks towards the bottom. That shows us a lot of momentum, US dollar strength. Yeah. And this month at the moment, if you just look at the current forming month, it's a little bit indecisive, but still we are bearish on the monthly. On the weekly is interesting. Weekly broke through the points that we mentioned last week, 1.15, and we had that massive drop. Yeah. So this week, just by looking at the weekly structure and the data that we have here, we don't have as much data as the other pairs. We clearly kind of made a nice bearish engulfing there. That would be a median probability engulfing because it did not engulf the previous week's engulfing, yeah, the lows. So we are bearish here on the weekly. Okay, on the daily though. On the daily clearly we have broken all structures, yeah, and it's clearly bearish. And we broke that last structure point there. The last structure point is right there. Sorry, right there. See how that broke through clearly, and when that break happened, we saw a lot of momentum come in. I think this was on Friday of last week and Thursday. So that happened. This week I might look at two things to happen here. Maybe see a retest happen. Maybe price goes from somewhere here and goes retest the last structured point there, which would be at 1.15 as well again. Let's not call it 1.15 to be a little bit exact. Let me call it 1.14900. Yeah. And if that happens and we see a nice confluence to take shots, that's what we'll do. So 1.14900. That's one. And then this would be the risky one. But if this area here breaks, yeah, we don't have much data here. Yeah. If you look towards the left, we don't have much data here to go off on. But if this area actually does break here, and this would be, I think, where did it end? It ended at a nice quarter point, 1.13500. So if this area here breaks, I would take short positions, yeah, but we don't have data. So in this interesting case where we don't have data, I would be a little bit careful to take this short here. But if you do take this, I would just be keeping an eye out on every quarter point. That means if I'm taking a shot at 1.13500, then I would look at 1.13250, then 1.13, then 1.12750. Yeah. So according to how price breaks through those levels, I would be a little bit careful, and I would keep on moving my stop losses into profit. Yeah, because there is no data at all. So we don't know when it can reverse. Yeah. So that's scenario 2, scenario 1, scenario 2. If this happens, I think it would be nice because we do have data here. Yeah. This would be a nicer confluence to take a short position from. Yeah. So that let me see if this is, yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is the one. Let's call this scenario 1, scenario 2. Long positions don't make sense, but if it does break through all the structure level here, you know, actually, if you look at one more thing, there's also a possibility. We see how the drop happened there. If price, there's a possibility price can come retest there, and it kind of did retest. But if it does retest here, I wouldn't take a short position just because it broke through these levels here. Yeah. So maybe that's something you can keep an eye out on to monitor the trade. That's about it. But if you want to take a long position, it would occur somewhere on the top when the structure on the daily here breaks. Yeah. And that would be at 1.17. So if 1.17 breaks, that would be your lower probability long position from. The best scenario I like is this retest. If that happens, I would take it. But if that doesn't happen, then this. But if you look at just the daily candle, how it rejected with that exhaustion towards the bottom, there's a possibility price can pull back. Yeah. So that's something I'll be keeping an eye out on with GEU. Any questions regarding GEU? All clear? Yeah. All right. So GEU is clear. Let's go to GJ. GJ has been it's been interesting this week. So let me go down into the monthly. Monthly, the monthly candle is extremely interesting. You see how price at the moment when the monthly has reached big exhaustion towards the top, huge exhaustion, yeah. And I don't like that exhaustion at the moment, yeah. That's kind of indicating sellers want to come into the market, and maybe JPY strength can take over, which it did in the last week. I'm not sure if it might follow through this week, but this forming candle at the moment, I don't like it as much, because structure to me technically, if you actually look at the structure, it's in a consolidation area. If you see how it's kind of a little bit bullish, but kind of consolidating. You see how it's stuck in that range there. It's been stuck in that range for the past few months. So that's what I'm looking on the monthly. So I don't like the monthly at the moment. It's giving me indications of a bearish momentum. And on the weekly though, weekly is clearly bullish, yeah. Just because the previous week we had this massive engulfing happen, and we said we are bullish in this pair. But during this week, what happened is we got that move that we wanted, and I think we took long positions somewhere here. 166, 250. We did get all of those pips there. How many pips was those? I think if you had perfectly timed it, it would be 180 pips around. So we got that position, but then what happened? Price perfectly rejected that area during CPI. There was a massive exhaustion towards the top. So what happened was we see this week, we see a massive exhaustion towards the top, but price did not engulf the previous week, yeah. So we are still bullish on the weekly, yeah. So this week I might be keeping you see how I marked out the monthly SP, which is the monthly structure point, and see how price closed below that. So this is now not only the monthly structure point, this is also now at the moment is also the weekly structure point. Yeah. So nice area perhaps to take a long position from if it breaks. So this might be an interesting area to keep an eye out on. On the daily though, let's look at the daily. Daily we see how price went up towards the top breakthrough, and we see nice bearish momentum. Yeah. And if you actually remember our last week, you see how I have marked out my alerts here at 162, 500. I mentioned that last week that there's a possibility price might actually come towards this area there and take off. And I think during the this last day of the trading week, it happened. It kind of gave us a retest. So at the moment, I just want to be a little bit calm. I don't want to take any trades here still. In fact, I might just close off this position here. Yeah, this alert here. So this week, just by looking at the weekly, which is bullish, monthly indications of bearish momentum and consolidation. So a lot of mix of things happening. Yeah, monthly is giving me mixed signals. Weekly is giving me bullish signals. The daily is telling me we are bearish. Yeah, so at least for me, I want my weekly, daily, and 4-hour at least to be perfectly correlated. Yeah, so I will wait for the weekly chart for weekly to flip bullish, which would be where it would be at this area here, which breaks, which is the monthly and the weekly structure point. If this area here breaks, there's a possibility as well. Two things can happen here. We can see this area here break. 1 second. Yeah. So we can see price here break through, retest that area and take off, or something else could happen. It could go up there. Instead of breaking through, it might just retest that area there, last structure point, and drop. So this area here at 163, 165, 500-ish area. This would be a very interesting area. Let's call it 165, 300. Yeah. So for me, I don't want to take short positions just because I'm bullish on the weekly structure. Yeah. But I want to wait for a scenario, this scenario here. Yeah. So these two things can occur. So this scenario could occur for both. It could be a nice retest and short position, or I would look for a long position here. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at with this area there. But the high probability, if you see how I marked out my daily structure point there, I want to take a long position there. Yeah, at 167. That would be a nice high probability long position. So those are two scenarios with the longs. Longs are what I'm looking at with this at the moment. But But if price does break through these structure points here, this week we have Bank of Japan news coming out. If they surprise us, possibility we can see this area here break. If this area here breaks, not only that, on the daily structure, if you see, this is also a structure point there. Yeah. If this area here breaks, then taking short positions makes sense. And that would be at let's call it 161,500. Yeah, 161,500 would be an area of interest to take short positions from. So GJ is very interesting. It's kind of in between at the moment. We need to see it give us more indications that if he wants to flip bullish or bearish. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at with GJ. Any questions with GJ? Yeah, clear. Let me look at the 4-hour actually. 1 minute. 4-hour. Yeah, it's clearly bearish. Yeah. So we need to wait and see what happens. All right. So GJ is clear for this week. Gold, yeah. Gold was the most interesting this week. We had a lot. I had 4 positions this week, and 3 of them were from gold. And I'll tell you why. I'll show you. All right, the monthly candle. I mean, look at the monthly straight momentum, yeah. And I think there might be a possibility. If you look at the monthly, actually, look at one interesting thing that happened this week. This is an area that I have been calling out on the weekly technicals. I've been looking at this area for the past weeks, actually. This area there, this lows at 1680. And what happened during this week is we broke through those lows, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. So we are clearly bearish on the monthly. Weekly. Let's see. So on the weekly, we had you see how it broke through the structure point of the previous week. See there, it broke through that structure point there. And it not only broke through, it gave us a massive engulfing, massive bearish engulfing. Yeah. So that's not clearly bearish on the weekly. There's no mistaking that. Yeah. Again, on the daily, what do we see? Lower highs, lower lows, structure point break here. You see how I have mentioned here, daily structure point. So you see how it broke through there. And this is where me and I think I was waiting for this area here to break, this area 1695, but price went through during Asian session. I couldn't get the trade. And then the main area of interest was 1680. Where was 1680 here? So I was interested in taking a short position at 1680, but what happened was price just ripped through it. It was so annoying. But I think me and Kev were waiting for this area here at 1680. Price did not give us that confirmation there. So what happened was, what's funny is we wanted this area when it broke through, we wanted to retest. And what was even more annoying was that retest happened. And that retest happened when we got off the charts on Friday at 6 p.m. and 7 p.m., which is during when we all are done pretty much trading. Yeah. And you see how price kind of retested that 1680 perfectly. 1680 there. That would have been a proper sniper entry if I could get it. So clearly we are bearish with the daily. Yeah. And now that I just saw that price has also retested that big area of interest for me that I've been looking at for the past few weeks. This week I would be interested to see. Let's see. This week I would be interested to see if price breaks structure point there. Wait, let me move this structure point here. You see how the structure has been a nice structure point there. So if price breaks through here, I would take a short position. What area is this? 160, 166,500. Sorry, 166.5. If you see my supply demand area, I have marked it out at 1660. Yeah. So let me look down in the 4-hour actually. Let me see how this area reacted. Yeah, so I would actually want to take a short position here at 1660. So that would give me confirmation of the breaks of the lows of the daily, and then eventually the daily lower highs and weekly low breaking. Yeah, so 16650. 1660, not 150. Yep. This area here, I would be a little bit careful because why? Daily lower high and the weekly low is also here. Yeah. So what you could do is maybe add a position there, and if this area here breaks, maybe then keep an eye out on the next supply demand area here at 1653. Yeah. So if this area here breaks and this area gives us a nice break and retest, then maybe add another position there. Yeah. So let me mark that A as well. Let's call it 166. So maybe that's how I'll be looking at the short positions for gold this week. I'm a little bit annoyed that I missed out this retest there because I've been waiting for that. So let's see what happens this week. Maybe price can do something interesting here because it's a very interesting spot. Yeah. Let me look down in the 4-hour time frame. You see how price dropped through here. We kind of got a retest there. Maybe we must see a little bit of more of a push because if you see the 4-hour candle there, that's a massive engulfing candle. Yeah. Possibly price can push up a little bit more. Maybe give us again an opportunity to take a retest at this area there, which is at 116.52, 500. Yeah, so maybe might take a long position, short position there. But that would be a lower probability because for me, I think the retest is done. Yeah. Long position doesn't make any sense. I mean, I think you have to wait for, I think, another, let's call it another it's almost 600 pips for price to break structure point here. This structure point here has to break for us to take any long positions. Yeah. And that would be at 1725. And this would be lower probability. And I just think because it broke through those lows, monthly lows, I don't think price might come up all the way. If it does, it would be surprising. Yeah. So this is what I'm looking at with gold at the moment. Yeah. These are the 3 good scenarios I like. Any questions regarding gold? All clear? All right. Any other pair you want me to look at before we end this call? Maybe we look at the DXY for a quick minute. DXY again, perfectly maintaining higher lows and lower higher highs. Same thing with daily. Daily kind of gave us a tiny lower high, but at the moment it kind of did what? It kind of double bottomed. And I remember during this drop here, everyone were like, "Oh, this time I think dollar is now going to drop." But if you know the technicals, you know that price is just faking out a lot of US dollar buyers, sellers. And what happened was when that happened, it came double bottomed and we see a massive engulfing towards the top. And price is now maintaining structure there. So I think if structure starts breaking through here, and you see how that yellow line there does the highs, absolute highs, if that breaks, that might happen this week. Yeah, very big possibility. Once that happens, I think we'll see a lot of US dollar strength come in. So maybe that's something you can keep an eye out on this week. Any other questions regarding any technicals? Maybe any other pair you want me to look at? All clear?
All clear for me.
Yep. All right. All right.
I
So
understand.
perfect. Yeah. Anyone trades indices here? You want me to look at indices, or is that fine? US 30, NAS 100, all clear? All right, then I think we are done. Yeah.